Hey guys,
How
this
you
is
doing?
Eddie and Justin back again. And this time we're doing. You've already seen the worst of 2015. Now it's time to talk about the best of 2015. But before we get to that, we're gonna go by. Well, he's gonna go by some movies that didn't make the list, but were either kind of like in the middle ground, so to speak, of movies that were not bad or good. They were just kind of like in the middle, so to speak. Movies that were just
basically we like to call this category the middleman. We like to give every film respect, even if it didn't really suck at all. And these movies right here did not suck. They were not good, or they were good, but they just could not get in our spot of top 10.
Right.
So here we go with the middleman. We got Get Hard, Fast 7, Avengers: Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, Pixels, Southpaw, Straight Outta Compton, No Escape, The Visit, Black Mass, and Tales of Halloween. Congratulations, you guys! You didn't get worse. You guys were decent films and likable. I mean, it's just you couldn't squeeze in the top 10. So
yeah, same list as mine, pretty much.
But you guys were not likable either. But you weren't the best, and you weren't the worst. You were so dead center, but you could not even make an honorable mention.
Yeah, it's definitely it's one of those films that I like the films like he did. But at the same time, they're just movies that we didn't.
They're very standard.
They're very standard. They really were just they come and go.
Basically, if you want to check out these movies reviews, go to Justin's blog on YouTube, and you can find his our reviews of those movies. So,
all right.
So anyway, so the honorable mentions.
So on my honorable mentions, our runner-ups are Spectre, Southpaw, Black Mass, Straight Outta Compton, and The Hateful Eight. Now, these are films that I liked. I really liked a lot. Well, I liked the majority of them. And it's just that I didn't want to put them on my top 10 list because there were other films I liked a little bit more than these films. But they're still good movies overall.
Okay, so my honorable mentions are pretty short, just short. Spectre and San Andreas. They're not my middle like we were presenting earlier. They're not middle because I think these movies had something better than those films that made it close to the honorable mentions. San Andreas, I think, was really underrated. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed everything about that film. I did. It just wasn't a top 10 type movie. Spectre, good movie. Kind of boring in a lot of parts. No, it's not boring. It's not bad. It's like, it did a lot of it's just boring, like standard James Bond things. I didn't think it captured better than the other. It was better than Quantum of Solace, but I didn't think it was
as good as Casino Royale or Skyfall.
Casino Royale or Skyfall. Them two, especially Skyfall. No, this movie, I gotta say, Spectre's the third out of the 4 series rated. I was actually a little disappointed, but it was still good. It was really, really, really good. It's just, it had little tiny problems with it. The reason why I didn't make my top 10. Now, before we get on to the official top 10, I do gotta say, sadly, and this really hurts me, I'm actually gonna do it today. I won't be doing a review for it since it's already been way past by then. We did miss Creed.
Yeah,
we both missed Creed, and I heard that was an amazing movie. I'm going to finally get it over with. Can't do a review. It's over with. I'm just going to watch as is. I missed it, but when he seen, I had a lot of personal problems. I couldn't go, and we were supposed to go together on this. Was Everest. Sadly, I missed that. I know these Creed and Everest, the reason why I want to give them respect is I know these are top 10 films, and if I would have seen both of them, they would have been my top 10. That's the reason why I want to bring it up now, because I know these films were going to be in my top 10.
Yeah, the same.
But I'm not going to lie and say I've seen them. I don't do that. So it's on my sadly missed movies of 2015. I'm going to get them. I'm going to watch them today, though. But anyways, honorable back now we're in the top 10. Top 10.
Yeah,
best of 2015.
So starting off my number 10, I had a hard time with my last two that were the bottom. It's like, okay, which one do I think would actually be
this was my watchable
list, but also still something that can keep me really more going back and watching again. So I put number 10 at Krampus. Now, this is a film that I honestly didn't really know much about until about probably a month before it came out. because
Yeah.
I've seen very little trailers about it and even really know anything about it. And much to my surprise, this was a film that really captured the holiday spirit in a great way. It had very great visuals, really moody atmosphere with the creatures and everything. Well done performances from the cast all around. Very funny moments too with the cast, and just overall, it just really captured the spirit of a great holiday horror film, and a holiday horror film done right with comedy.
Yeah. Okay, so my number 10 best of 2015, Hateful Eight. Like I said, there was movies I wish I would have put in there, but I gotta go with what I've seen. And basically, Hateful Eight. Talked about this. It's a really good film. It really is written really well. Some of the dialogue and Channing Tatum had problems with it. Overall, I really enjoyed it. It's not the best by far, Quentin Tarantino's best movie. But I will say that Hateful Eight was doable. I really enjoyed it. I got a lot of enjoyment out of it. Everything he does, he's a great guy. I mean, I think he can, I think he's a really good writer,
Yeah.
I think that some of the actors, all the actors did amazing. Channing Tatum I did have a problem with, but it's still my top 10. I really enjoyed the gore, amazing. The writing, amazing. The comic relief, amazing. Still feels like a Quentin Tarantino film. I love the people in it. I love the girl. I love Samuel L. Jackson. Y'all, good job. Top 10, or my number 10, Hateful Eight.
Yeah, that's good, man. Sorry, I'm just plugging my battery in here.
Having technical difficulties.
Okay, see if it'll stay here for a second.
Yeah, it looks good right there.
Okay.
All right, so that was my number 10, Hateful Eight. So,
all right,
on to the number 9.
I might sit up a little bit so you can see. All right, so number 9, I have Kingsman: Secret Service. Now, this film really surprised me. I actually really got to enjoy this film because going into it, I thought it was going to be like your typical by-the-numbers kind of spy film. But when me and him saw, I was like, you know what, man? This actually really is a great satire of spy movies, you know? It's very funny. It's very witty. It has great action scenes. It's got really funny, likable characters. Yeah. Samuel Jackson's great.
Not to cut you off, because I want to bring this up real quick. I want to add up, that is my number 9, Kingsman 2. So we want to kind of like both talk about this.
We'll both talk about this one.
Yep. So, yeah, number 9, Kingsman, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, this is a movie that really surprised me, and in a lot of ways, because this is one of the first spy films I've watched where they do a lot of cool, clever moments where they're kind of making fun of the genre,
Yeah. This is the type of movie I usually, even though it looks good, I kind of get scared to go see, because it's just a very standard movie. You think, oh, it's just a movie you never heard of, it's a standalone.
Yeah.
And some movies, like, give you that vibe, it'll probably be okay and all that stuff. I was actually really blown away by it. It really was really good.
It was.
I enjoyed the actors in it. I really enjoyed the story. I love the satire, having fun with that, the whole spy genre. I really enjoyed everything about this. I even liked, and I'm not a big diehard British type movie type guy, but I enjoyed this. It was really I liked it.
I did too, and it had some good gore moments too,
Mm-hmm.
And it kept you
had
going.
Good comic relief in there, like the fucking that one girl that was captured. That was funny, yeah. He goes, so I get to put in your asshole.
Yeah. Then yeah, definitely.
I enjoyed it. I can't wait till the part 2.
I can't wait either.
It's next year, 2017, Kingsman 2
comes out. I'm going to be watching that in theaters.
Yeah,
definitely.
I enjoyed it. Perfect. So that's our number 9. We both tied on that one. So on number 8.
My number 8, and this is something that he hasn't seen, but I have watched. It's Everest. Now this one, I can really say is one of the best visual looking films of the year. One of the visual looking films, and this one really captured my attention the most because it's really much like The Revenant. It's a survival story, but this one, it's a little different because this is the story where it's not just one man, it's multiple people going to climb.
It's a true story.
A true story about the mountain. And everyone, including the whole cast, does a phenomenal job. You get a big round of actors. You got Jake Gyllenhaal, you got Jason Clarke, Josh Brolin, the list goes on.
Keira Knightley.
Keira Knightley, and everyone. Yeah. And so it has some of the best IMAX 3D visuals I've seen in a long time too. Like when you're seeing it in IMAX, you really feel like you're there. And it really captures a lot of the story of the struggles they have to do when they're on the ice. Because when you see them actually get like really hurt and everything, you see the detail they put into it. And it's really, really heartbreaking in a lot of scenes too.
Yeah, because I mean, it's a true story. It's something that I look forward to. It was on my sadly missed. We usually go see movies together. Even if I don't go see it with him, I usually see it, and we can both do the review together. Unfortunately, I had no time whatsoever to even go see this film at all. I generally don't like seeing films by myself unless I'm at home. I don't like going into a theater by myself. I generally like to be with people. Like,
yeah,
I'm a social type guy. So that's your number 8. My number 8, he talked about this earlier, is Krampus. Talk about a film I took chance on, and the only reason why I took chance on is it was a Christmas film. We seen it on Christmas, and I gotta say, this movie actually really surprised me. Very surprising. This movie, I did not think in the world ever I would have this under the top 10.
I didn't either.
As it being number 8 blows me away. I'm talking about this, but talk about a cast that I really enjoyed. The comic reliefs were amazing. This is probably the most gorgeous shot Christmas visuals I've ever seen. Christmas visuals. I'm not talking about visuals like Revenant and type shit we'll get into later. I'm talking about as far as like Christmas feel, the holiday feel. Yeah, the holiday theme was beautiful. The mutants in that film were beautiful. I mean,
and really well crafted practical effects too. And a lot of the sound editing really is really loud and booming and really puts you in the right atmosphere.
Yeah, and I'm glad I've seen that in theaters because it really does good with the sound.
It does.
Yeah, when Krampus stomps and shit, you
really hear it.
You feel it coming towards you.
Yeah,
like it creeps up your spine. The only thing I was worried about is I always thought that, all being a comedy cast. I thought it was going to be like, but it blew me away how well these guys can do the comedy and try to keep it straightforward
with the horror
at the same time.
Yeah, and it worked.
Amazing film. Really amazing. I praised everybody in that. So my number 8, Krampus.
Yep. All right, and then my number 7 is, let's see, It Follows.
Before he talks, my number 7 is It Follows. So we're going to talk about this together.
Okay. There we go. Another one. Number 7, It Follows. Now, this one, I can say, was another surprise I had. I mean, this is a film that not many people really know about. It did in theaters for a little while, but it's really what you call it a very under the radar kind of underappreciated movie because this film is a love letter to all the movies that we grew up that people liked from like the 70s and 80s. Yes. The slasher kind of films.
I respect him because he's a 90s guy. I'm an 80s guy. I'm from the 80s, and I respect because he feels it too. And as I'm from the 80s, I felt it because I'm from the 80s, and that's what it's really paying homage to is the 80s. A lot of you people that bash it, I respect your opinion overall, but I feel like this movie should be very judged upon people from its era.
Yeah.
Now, he's from the 90s, but he's from the really early 90s, so it's not like it's much of a different change. But he's a big movie fanatic, and I think people who are from the 90s who are big on films, I can understand your point of views versus some standard kid that's fucking 14 years old going to see Transformers. I mean, I can't really listen to him, bash a movie when he's not even nowhere near the fucking decade. Yeah. But anyways, this movie, the reason why I liked it is it paid homage to the 80s slasher films.
It did.
It really, the music, the shots were amazing.
The beautiful, and this is another thing I love too. This one is another example of when they do the 180 angle. Yeah. They do it in such really clever ways. It's almost like the director was taking a lot of cues from Carpenter and some other, even some Wes Craven.
From like Wes Craven, Carpenter, Halloween, the original Halloween. It takes that homage. He's not wanting it to be realistically shot CGI bullshit.
When you watch the film,
he wants it to be back in the 80s.
It does. Yeah. When you watch the film, it resembles what would look like in 1982 because the grainy look, the characters themselves,
the music.
The music. The only time that you can really tell that some characters are now look do anything nowadays that would resemble is when they have that weird clamshell kind of phone.
Yeah.
That's really it. Other than that, the whole film is like a movie that was lost from the 80s.
I loved how it was shot. The acting was, to be honest with you, I was really surprised by a lot of not famous people. Like, the first filmers, like, this is their first,
and they did really great.
Yeah, they got a lot of new people, and these people
and you could feel that they were scared, too, because you can see the intensity they did with it.
And, unlike him, I do have problems with movies that generally go PG-13. I get a little scared when they're trying to be a scary movie, but this one actually worked out.
Yeah, it was still an R, and it is an R-rated movie. It definitely deserved its rating, you know. I mean, Grant could have had more body count, but it's still...
R-rated?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, wow. Never mind. I stand corrected. It was an R-rated film. It just felt like a PG-13, but it still didn't do anything very R-rated.
No, it felt like it was trying to be a love letter to where you don't put too much, but at the same time, you're still giving what the fans want.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a good balance.
Yeah, and I from the 80s... Thank you. I needed something to kind of bring me back to my time, and I appreciate the film. So it's my number 7, his number 7, best of list. All right.
My next one is Run All Night.
Okay.
Run All Night. And now I'm going to kind of be brief. Yeah, it's my number 6.
Number 6. Run All Night for you.
Okay. So Run All Night was, in my last video, I said that Taken 3 was one of the worst Liam Neeson films of the year. This one is one of the best Liam Neeson movies of the year. This is a film that I wanted to so badly go check out in theaters with me and Eddie, but unfortunately,
we chose to go out party that night. Yeah, that pub crawl. Yeah.
Had I went to see it, I would have even loved it even then, because this film is very, very hard R material. You know, it's very gritty. Liam Neeson does a killer job. I think this is probably my favorite performance he's done.
Yeah, it's
really, it's everything you expect. It's a really hard-edged revenge, not revenge, like a hard-edged mob gangster kind of thriller, and it really takes a lot of kind of some cues from Running Scared a little bit, with some of the direction styles they use, and some of the kind of themes they share from that movie as well. So basically, it's like it's like a very overlooked kind of gang thriller film that not many people look at, because it tells a very gripping story, and when the shit goes down, you don't expect a lot to happen.
Okay.
So overall, I really love the movie a lot, and that's my number 6. Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's my number 6, different from his. Sicario, starring Emily Blunt and
Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, Del Toro. Talk about a movie. I showed him this trailer. I knew this movie was going to do something. I knew it was going to be good. I didn't doubt this film at all, and I expect it to be my top 10. And sure enough, it's my number 6, Sicario. So basically, this film stars Emily Blunt and Del Toro, and basically what it is they're trying to crack down on this drug gang. And when they do, they realize that the only way they can capture the main corporates of this gang that's savagely bringing drugs over the country into the United States, they must go into the most dangerous part of Mexico,
which is
take
Juarez.
Them out. Juarez. And basically this film, I love its grittiness. Oh my god, it's gritty. It's bloody as fuck. Oh my god. The actors, the actresses, great performance. A lot of twist endings to it, a lot of twists. Great performances, blood. I love how visually they stand from in the United States part, and you can hear the straight war that's going on in Mexico
in the background.
You see, and this is really true. I actually have people in El Paso that tell me, dude, we can stand on a mountain and just watch the most craziest shit. You can hear police sirens all the time there. It's a crime-ridden part, and it's so true because this movie is very realistic, and it's very true because Juarez it's got a lot of problems with drug wars and gangs, and it's a war-torn place, and you see bodies hanging. Oh my god, dude, it's all over the place craziness. I mean, it blows me away. Performances, everything. I'm not gonna go into too much detail. It's my number 6.
Okay. All right, my number 5 is Mad Max Fury Road. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I'm probably more of a fan in some of the movies than he is. I love 1 and 2. Not too big on Beyond Thunderdome, but I am glad George Miller came back to do this one, because he has flat out made one of the best action films I have seen in such a long time. And I'm saying that as a film that goes back to real effects, real car chases, real stunts, a very simple story, but yet it's so gripping with this world that they set up, and everything just really feels really well balanced. Tom Hardy did really excellent as Max. Really big risk taking the shoes of Mel Gibson, of course, but he did perfect.
Yep.
And best of all, some of the really great 3D with the sandstorms and the film itself overall. And just, I'm glad we're getting that Desert Storm look like we have with a lot of post-apocalyptic films again, because we haven't seen that in a long time. So overall, a really great comeback for action movie lovers and George Miller, and
the entire franchise, Mad Max.
Exactly. So, and I even like Charlize Theron, and I get the whole thing. People saying it's like, well, it promotes feminism. No, it doesn't. To say we will, it doesn't do.
I bitch about that too, but I don't bitch about that film.
No, but I really love the film a lot, and I am very happy that they brought it back.
So that's your number 5.
Yes.
Okay. My number 5, one of the biggest anticipated films of the year, and talk about a long countdown. Agonizing, couldn't wait to see this film. Number 5, Star Wars: Force Awakens. Talk about a film. I really enjoyed this. It made me feel like I was back into the 70s when our parents' age, when they were able to grow up and see those films in theaters. I'm talking about, I'm so glad they were able to get everybody back. It just made me smile. I grew up with the Star Wars series. I wasn't really die hard fan, but I became, over the years. I'm glad, maybe if it was like something like a prequel kind of thing, when you knew that the original wasn't coming back, I would be a little bit disappointed. But because they brought everybody back, you guys sold me out on that. Visually beautiful. You kept it standard. You didn't go crazy with CGI. It felt like you were still in the 70s watching another Star Wars film. The acting was beautiful. I liked everybody in the film. I had no issues with acting at all. The original cast, people need to understand that, Luke didn't come until the end, but they're building up to something. You gotta think, people don't understand this film is gonna be a trilogy. It's gonna have, 8's gonna be even better, 9's gonna be the climax. And it's building up. Luke is building up to something, because Luke is a god. They're building up for him for the future films. And a lot of people I think a lot of people bashed it way too hard. That's coming from a guy I'm not a bias over. I'm not a diehard Star Wars fan. And I watched all of them, and I like all of them. And the performances were amazing, man. Beautifully shot.
They were.
What else can I really go into detail with this movie? Good twists I didn't see coming. Blew me away. I'm not going to spoil it, but that one scene, you know what I'm talking about? Wow. I was like, I did not see that coming. Sadly, it had to happen, and I respect why it had to happen. And it really captured emotions from one particular co-partner of that character that it happens to, and you feel his emotions. You get who I'm talking about.
I get you.
A lot of people didn't like the villain. And a lot of people were bitching that it's about fucking capture. It's a copycat from New Hope. But I get that what you're trying to bitch about. Like, I didn't like it with Poltergeist in my previous. So it's verbatim. But this is not really verbatim. I mean, it does its own thing. And I can even buy it as, doing some of the original thing. It's sticking to the story. It's not... I was more afraid of them going way off the basis of what the original was,
Yeah.
I'm glad that they're keeping it close. It's sticking to the blood. It's sticking to, I want to be like you, father. Yeah. Grandfather, I want to be like you. I want to
It's what, well, not to intervene, but pretty much it's what George Lucas himself has said. It all rhymes.
Yes, it all rhymes.
It all comes together, because if you look at all the Star Wars movies in general, they have scenes that link up to other scenes of previous movies.
Yeah.
And that's not a new thing.
And like I said, I'm not your typical, you're Star Wars biased, man. No, I'm not. I like the films, but I'm not gonna I don't have fucking, what do you call them, shrims or shrines of them, worshiping them. I don't do that shit. I'm not that diehard of a fan, and that's on my number 5. Star Wars Force Awakens, number 5. Favorite list. Best.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Yeah, my number 5 is...
you're on number 4.
Oh, yeah, I'm on number 4, sorry. 4 is Sicario. I did say that Sicario was... much like he said, everything, performance is very spot on. I even love Josh Brolin in the film, too. I thought he was really great. And I love the brutality in this film, what it goes through with the characters when they're getting into a lot of bad shit. And also, I love the music as well. The music is very haunting, especially in a lot of scenes when people are, like, actually building up to stuff and they're building tension. You can really feel it like a snake's crawling up.
Yeah, you do, with the fucking score.
The doom, the beast.
Yeah, it creeps with you. And you really, why Sicario, like I said when I was talking about it, why it makes it so great of a film is it's real. It really is happening in that place. So it's basically like you could say it's true.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it could, and plus it is very well directed too. Especially there are shots at nighttime when they actually shoot at night. And there's a whole scene where they put night vision goggles on. It's like you're watching something out of a Tom Clancy game.
Yeah.
You know, it's really well made.
Yeah, it is.
And also, I mean, yeah, there were probably some parts where some of the pacing could have picked up a little more, but that didn't bother me because I was still going on with what they were doing on how to get these guys.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it. I loved Emily Blunt in it too. You know, and everyone
great acting,
and especially Del Toro. He stole every scene in that movie.
Yeah, Del Toro, I really like him. I think he's.
And this
really
is like
good.
his best performance since I'd say since Traffic. I think, or well, as far as like really on the edge of your seat, kind of dark stuff.
Yeah.
All right. And then it's yours.
So now
that was my number 4.
Sicario. Okay. So my number 4. Talk about a film I introduced him to the trailer to, and boy, I didn't think it was going to be this amazing. Number 4 will be The Gift. Oh, talk about a film. Oh, wow. Talk about gorgeous shot. I mean, the story was so amazing in this film. Twist ending. Oh my god, I didn't see that coming. It didn't go over the board drastic with the dramatic with the fucking like have to be gory or be like copycat of a stalker type film. It did its own thing. And I'm talking about Jason Bateman. Holy shit, talk about a career change in this one. Yeah, I actually think that guy can pull some straight roles and some thrillers. I really do. What was his name? The guy who directed
Joel Edgerton.
Joel Edgerton, guy who directed and acted in this film.
And wrote it.
Talk about he did 3 of the biggest positions in this film. Woo! Talk about amazing job. I mean, I don't know what I could really go into detail without spoiling. I mean, the guy plays a character who was pretty much raped in high school, and he runs into Jason Bateman, and Jason Bateman and him have some kind of really dark history about what really happened with the rape.
And there's a lot of twists and turns that you never expect to happen.
There's other twists and turns. Yeah, he's accused of being part of the, and there's other dark shit I'm not going to explain into the detail, but the performances in this film was it was blown away. I mean, I think it deserves a higher ranking, but there's this other films that I thought was a tad enjoyable, but that doesn't say nothing bad about The Gift. The Gift was an amazing movie.
Yeah,
I will buy it. I'm going to watch it again. It had the best story writing. It's probably got up there as one of the best story writings, yes. And great twist ending. So that was at my number 4, The Gift.
Fair enough. And number 3 is Star Wars: The Force Awakens. And yes, as I'm going to admit, I am a diehard Star Wars fan. And no, I'm not putting on this here just because I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm going into speaking this as a film itself, and being fair, I can say that this is probably one of the best Star Wars films I've seen probably since Empire Strikes Back. Do I believe there's flaws? Yes, absolutely. I think there is. But the fact that the movie kept me going with its story, its very well done directing, the really great performances from everyone around, and the way that they brought back the magic and the charm, the wit, everything that was so great about the original films back, it kept me going, and I didn't have hardly any problems with the film at all. And if there are any problems with the film that I would see, I would probably pick up later on. But for now, I am true to my word, and I can.
It's still classical. It feels like you just re-imaged the movie again.
Yeah.
I mean, but I respect it. I love it, man. I enjoyed it.
I do too.
Man.
I loved it, especially.
It's like living back in the days again. I mean, they didn't even do anything really hardcore CGI with this film.
No.
They made it look like you were watching this, like when they're in space fighting. It felt like the 70s again.
I mean, if I had to pick anything, I probably had a little tiny bit was some of the CGI looking characters, like the ones,
that girl, the old lady that talks to her. Yeah, we'll bitch
and then
about
you got
that.
like the weird tall the Sith Lord who I think was CGI, but he was in a hologram.
And he was too big.
Yeah. So, but that's just little.
That's probably building up to something.
So I can't really fault that.
You can't really judge or bash the film yet because really it is a trilogy and it's an ongoing story. So
yeah, and
if you're bashing the film what it is now, and you're probably bitching, there's probably because. Like, for instance, I don't want to go too hard on the Sith Lord because I think it's going to lead up to something bigger. And
there's probably some things that they probably could have explained just a little tiny bit more that they don't set up with the First Order. But that's just something I would not even know until I rewatch the film.
And we can get the trilogy out once we
exactly,
and then we can do an overall trilogy of what
other than that, I was glad to see my favorite characters come back again, and seeing a great Star Wars movie again.
Yeah,
the story kept me so going that it's like, okay, now we're getting somewhere really good. Now we're expanding upon the universe a lot better.
Yeah.
They're taking liberties from New Hope. I get that, but they're still keeping their ideas fresh. Because J.J. Abrams said that, look, and now people are accusing him of playing it too safe, but I believe that he's at least doing something right to set it up, because it brought us back to that age when our parents, like you said, saw Star Wars. They brought it back to here, and like I said earlier, George Lucas flat out said everything. It's like it rhymes. It's like poetry. So take it for what it is. I mean. Okay. But I really love the film.
Okay, so that's your number 3, Star Wars Force Awakens. All right, my number 3, he talked about earlier, Mad Max Fury Road, and it's really high up there on my list as number 3. Talk about a great comeback for George Miller. But not only that, talk about shoes that Tom Hardy had to fill, which is very hard to take a role that huge. But I thought he did amazing job for that performance. Talk about an actor. Oh my God, he's amazing. But what I respect about it and what worried about me, and they didn't do, is I thought they were kind of going to make it our time type feel, where we kind of change technology, and which they do in some scenes, yeah. But I was afraid that they were going to go. It was not going to feel. Basically, what I'm going to say is Mad Max Fury Road actually stuck to what the originals are.
Yeah.
Every scene for scene is like you feel like you're watching a Mad Max film. That's what I loved about it. My worries was, is it going to feel like a Mad Max film? Oh my God, it was. It was the beautifully shot. The action scenes. Oh my God, it was action packed. Even Immortal Joe was amazing.
He was a great
that was a hell of a villain. That was scary, dude.
And one thing I do love about him too was the flamethrower guy. On top of that truck, and they're going down the road in the desert. I'm like, oh, that.
I love Charlize Theron played a good character.
It's very
co-supporting, or main character. It's whatever one you would call it. But anyways, I do like how they made Mad Max feel so vulnerable that he's pretty much tied up with his mouth shut, and they're like, he's basically like happened to be saved by the woman instead of him. I don't like feminism type shit either, but I actually let this one slide because really, I mean, it doesn't do the feminism thing the whole movie.
No, because what they don't realize is that they actually have to rely on him when they're on the road.
Actually, they got to rely on her because basically he's already defeated. He's tied up and beaten.
Right, but I'm saying when he actually gets in the truck and they're when they actually get near the end of their journey, they realize the women are very powerless, so they have to rely on Max. So they actually look up to Max as their hero.
Yeah.
So they have no choice.
And like I said, beautiful shot. I even like that one dude that's getting pretty big.
Nicholas Hoult.
Nicholas Hoult is the ball dude.
He kind of
what a lovely day.
Yeah,
yeah. I did enjoy him. I thought usually characters like that I don't really pay much attention to very often, but I did praise him in that. I did enjoy that film. Beautifully shot. Felt like a Mad Max. Great comeback for George Miller. It did what it promised. It felt my spot. I mean, everything I wanted for it to be a true homage to the Mad Max series, it did it right.
That, and they really pushed a lot of the limits with the violence too, because I know that some of the stuff they showed like in the earlier movies were not really too violent, but this one, this is balls to the wall, like you would not expect that you would go beyond what the original movies did.
I had no problem with it. The story was written. I liked the path they took. So it's my number 3. Yeah, Mad Max.
Alright, my number 2 is The Gift, and much like what he said, very surprised at this movie. When I saw the trailer, I was like, alright, this really looks interesting. Seeing Jason Bateman in a very serious role. Okay. So I watched the film like, damn, that has to be one of the best endings I have ever seen in my life.
Hell of a twist.
That was a hell of a story, too.
Yeah, it was a hellly written.
But not just that, the way that it sets up everything, it kind of gives you it switches gears. Because it sets up like your basic stalker film, but then they do something, again, no spoilers, but they set up something that you just don't even expect at all. I'm like, well that's...
Whoa, what the fuck? And then they leave you to think at the end, is it really doing this, or is it really doing that? You decide.
Yeah, and it makes you really feel really unclean inside too. You're watching like, holy shit, that's scarier.
It's like
that's scarier than most other films I've seen this year.
Talk about a revenge plot on that motherfucker. Damn.
But not just that, but like when you watch it, just the whole direction itself is very well crafted, because they set up a lot of shots where you get a lot of scary parts where it just comes out of nowhere, and it's a lot creepier than some of the other scary movies I've seen over the year.
Yep.
And so, I definitely love this film. Great, good, one of my favorite performance so far of Jason Bateman's. Rebecca Hall was great too as the wife. Joe Arterton was really great as Gordo.
And he directed it, and he written that movie perfect. I was so glad he did that. Yep. So that's my number 2. Okay. So my number 2, he mentioned this a lot earlier, way ago in the video than I did, but this is my number 2 film. This movie was unbelievable. It just blew me away. It's called Run All Night. Number 2 is on my list. Talk about a film. Not only is Liam Neeson's best performance, but this story was, I mean, even some movies I kind of wish I say, well, they could have done this and that may have made it better. This movie did everything perfect. The actions were unbelievable. He was vulnerable for once. I hate movies where they make the guy always a superhero guy.
Kind of like Die Hard 5.
Yeah, well, Takens were like that. But this movie was his best performance yet. You see the brutality he has to go through. Ed Harris is a villain. He's always good as a villain. I think it works every time he goes as a villain in a movie.
But it was cool in this one
creepy
that
as fuck. Because Ed Harris, believe it or not, I think he's got that something about him makes you scared of him. Yeah. And he doesn't even have to really be a physical killer.
No, he could just
like that mafia type.
That look.
I'm going to kill you and your fucking family.
Yeah, he can give you that look right there, and you're like, oh, shit's going to go down.
Yeah, the guy plays phenomenal as a fucking villain. I'm glad they did it again.
Yeah,
as a mafia.
And
guy.
I even like Joe Kinnaman. I think the guy who's very upcoming. I mean, he's done some shows like
plays the son. Yeah,
everything. I think he's going to be great in Suicide Squad.
You basically got father and son, which is also a good plot of having to stay alive overnight.
Yeah,
fighting his vicious mafia gang.
Which, if you, like I told you in the review, they also said the themes of this reminds me of Road to Perdition, a Tom Hanks film that was very underlooked, where it goes through kind of the same thing.
Not to mention, I love martial arts. Don't get me wrong, I love that, but I like the realistic that
it's more street fights.
That is more street fights because, come on now, in the United States, we can walk around and you know some bad motherfuckers. Does really everybody have to have martial arts? No one knows that. Not everybody. This movie toned down the little stupid, with the martial arts, because it doesn't want their people saying, well, I was in the CIA 8 years and I was in YA for 10. It gives you just regular guys who are badass, but it's very vulnerable.
Yeah. Guys who are still tough, but they learn on the streets.
Because so I would like that, dude. I may not, people may not like look at that and see that as like a big difference, like a game changer, but I kind of think it does.
I thought it did too. It also helps deviate him from being like and Brian.
Plus, I think we've already seen, that too. I think we've seen enough Liam Neeson being martial artist.
Yeah, because I know he can kick people's ass easy, but this one, it was good that he fought. When he fights, he matches wits with the other person.
This movie was damn near perfect for me. It was. I loved it. His best performance. I think it's his best movie. So that's number 2.
And number 1 is
Run All Night. So now here's the number 1 film, best of 2015. The best movie is unbelievable. The Revenant.
For both of us.
The Revenant. Number 1 film of the year.
I would put this as a tie. If I had to put it as a tie, The Gift would be right next to it for me.
Well, if I don't know how to do it.
I would do it.
Anyways, but I don't believe that. So number 1 film, The Revenant. Talk about the most perfect movie. I'm not believing perfect. No one's perfect. But I don't know. This movie, I mean, even my number 2, Run All Night, didn't have really much flaws at all, like I said. But this movie, I don't know. There's something about this movie just captured every scene. This is probably the most gorgeous film I've ever seen filmed, and I get into a lot of beautiful like visuals. I'm big on cinematography. I love like movies like fucking like how Everest on the trailers, how it's made. I like those type films. And even those films, they're not very perfect. I mean, but still, this movie was very artistic, and I'm not a big artistic type film guy, but this movie, the performances, oh my God,
phenomenal. This to me is one of my favorite Leo's physical performance and very emotional performance I've seen him do.
It's very emotional, and the realism,
the brutality too, because this movie makes you feel like, ooh, man, I could not imagine being like that.
You feel the cold, you feel the wilderness, you feel like you're in the fucking movie. It brings chills to your back. Tom Hardy, even playing as a bad guy that is good at the same time and had to do what he had to do, and trying to be a villain, he's this mixture guy, kind of gets you kind of like scared, like, whoa, like that dude, like you can't trust that dude like at all. Like he'll kill you if he has to, but he doesn't like killing. But he if he has to be brutal, he can be brutal. The bear scene was realistic. This movie captures everything is real. They didn't do no studios. They went out to dead end wilderness. They actually lived in the conditions. He actually made sure that he was freezing to death. Then he like, hey, action. He ate the bison heart is real because he wanted to really throw up. They really captured real Indians. They learned their dialects. Everything speaks realism.
It does.
The artistically, this cinematography, the visuals. Oh my God, it was amazing. I watched this film 3 times. There's no movie that's ever done that in a long time for me.
I agree, and it's one of the best. It was one of the best one of the better art films that I like too, because I'm not really too big on art movies. Movies like this, they speak to me. It makes you wonder. A guy who's doing everything he can to crawl in pretty much he's so dark and handicapped the whole time to go there to reach his journey. That is a lot of courage. It's very
artistic, like he said. I don't get in artistic films really very much. Very rarely, every now and then, you get ones that come out of nowhere and just blow you away, like American Beauty did in that year, 2001, I think 1999, that blew me away. That's something rare. You get like that, but this was one of them, the rare ones. And talk about, oh my God, the artistic, and to me, it's the best Western movie I've ever seen, too. If you want to call it a Western movie, which is technically is. It's based off a true story, too.
Yeah, it's very...
And the dialects that they learn, it's what makes me love this film so much is how much dedication it takes to make sure this was real. They didn't want to make a Hollywood film. They wanted to make a real film, a realistic documentary film to it. Even though it wasn't shot like that, I'm just expressing how real this fucking film is.
And it helps that the director is also really great at establishing great shots, because
Yeah.
he does great with
Visually,
long
dude,
one
it's
takes.
beautiful.
He does long one takes
Yeah.
where the camera would stay on one person and it would follow them for almost a straight 5 minutes until
Yeah.
they get to the boat.
And the shooting
And
scenes, the way that they shoot, it's like the camera keeps twisting. It's coming right at you, like
Yeah,
you feel the
because-
gun, like it comes right at you, goes far
It
away,
has little
and
to
then
no
it
takes.
zooms right in, and then you see an arrow, boom, and you see you feel like they really got killed on this
Yeah.
fucking movie, dude. It's like, whoa, like the gunshots, it's loud, it's fucking, you feel the cold, you feel thirsty, you feel starving watching this film. You feel like you're hungry. I mean, this film really affects you when you watch it, and that's a movie that
it does.
no movies really catch me like that. Even some people can say, well, it did to me, but movies generally overall every year, I'm like, yeah, I just felt it, but not really.
No, this one really
movie
got to me a
yeah.
lot, and I'm hoping that we get more movies like this where
Yeah.
they can really capture attention, because
Yeah.
the movie was 3 hours long, but I never felt like that. I felt like I was still with this
Yeah.
journey, and I kind of wanted to go longer.
I
you know?
did too. It was one of the rare films. I wouldn't care if it was 4 hours.
Yeah.
I was wanting more sad endings, sad story.
It deals
It
more-
makes you feel bad for him.
It
the shit
deals
he has to go
more.
through.
It deals with pretty much three things: man versus man, man versus animal, and man versus the wilderness.
Yeah.
Because all three of those, they share such a link with each other with him, and there's so much that he goes through in that movie. It really makes you wonder, like, how did he really survive?
Yeah.
You know. But he did. I mean,
He
they
did.
they really showed the realism that he does. How he
and
survives.
just as you think it couldn't get any better, talk about one of the most gorgeous scores I've seen in a long time. So good, I actually couldn't help by getting the whole entire soundtrack on my computer.
Yeah, I do too. I was listening the other day. I was like, "Oh my god, this
So-
score is so beautiful."
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Like,
It's
it makes
gritty.
me-
It works with its environment. It's so cold, so dark, so gray.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It really puts you in the right mood to actually
Yeah.
feel like you're. It's the triumph. It's the struggles that every man has to survive in the wilderness.
Yep.
And having to rely on not cannibalism. Basically, eat anything that you
Yeah,
can.
these people have no time to cook. I mean, it's like you have to eat something to survive.
Yeah.
I mean, and
You would
the
do
fact
anything
that they
pretty
really
much.
fucking was eating, some of the shit was real to capture the realism of gagging and the sickness. Oh my god. Dude, this movie's got 12 Oscars right now, and it needs to win them. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be biased for the film because it's my best of 2015 , but you got to give credit where it's due.
I do.
I
I can
mean,
at least say some of
somebody
them
who's
should
that
deserve it.
dedicated.
Yeah, I definitely
I'm
agree.
sorry. I praise movies for
That's
that.
really all I've got. I mean,
Yep.
that's
All right,
best movie of the year.
congratulations to The Revenant. You win 2015 Best Movie of the Year.
Good job, Revenant. I'm so glad I watched this film. Really pleased with it, and I'm going to be looking forward to Oscars coming up in February.
Yeah, I'm looking for that too.
But
And
can't wait for 2016 to come as well.
as for the last thing to say, that was Revenant was one of the rarest films I ever get a perfect 10 out of 10. It
Yeah.
was perfect, dead perfect for me. So, yep, on to 2016. Later, 2015, we're ready to start all over again.
Yep.
Hopefully, we don't get any bad movies or good, horrible movies. We get a big list of great movies.
I do too. I hope so. We can only expect so much.
Yep.
So,
yep, that was
hope you guys-
2015. Goodbye.
We'll see you guys in our next coming reviews, and hope you guys have a good weekend. See ya.